If you've lived or worked in Africa, then you may have heard of Mikasa, Trotro Tractor, Flippy Campus, Namdi Mobile. These are very beautiful tech applications that are helping churches connect to one another, businesses connect with their customers, and people make payments online. There is one distinct feature about all these mobile applications. All their founders are alumni of the Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology. Yes, MES was established in Ghana in 2008 to provide opportunity for African entrepreneurs to achieve great things. Today, MES operates in Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, and Ivory Coast. Our mission today is to study the MES model and to understand how it works, what are the features that have led to the success of Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology, and how can we inculcate their system into our educational system to produce a lot more entrepreneurs. Our guest for today is a senior faculty at the Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology. Join us on the 8th floor of the Octagon at the Empire Office Suite, where our guest is waiting. Todd Holcombe is a seasoned IT executive who brings a unique overall mixture of knowledge that encompasses infrastructure solutions. He is a highly adaptable and results-driven change agent. He's been with the Bank of America for 26 years, where he rose through the ranks to the position of the Vice President. He is now a senior faculty at the Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology in West Africa, where he supervises young entrepreneurs coming from the continent of Africa. Join me and let's welcome Todd to the Business Lens.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for honoring our invitation. We are very honored. We are very honored. We know how busy you are, and so it's a great pleasure to have you. MES has been doing a lot everywhere. When it talks about entrepreneurship in Africa, everybody tells you, well, it is MES. MES is now more of synonymous to tech entrepreneurship across the continent. What has been the secret of MES?
Well, I think the brand, the success of the brand has a lot to do with the fact that we were the first, really. Jorn Lysigan is the founder and CEO of MES. Okay. He's also the founder and CEO of Meltwater, which is a company in Finland, which is headquartered in San Francisco. He came in 2008. There wasn't anything like it anywhere, not only Ghana, but I mean anywhere in Africa. So yeah, we've kind of led the way, and we had to kind of blueprint the path. When we first started, it was a school with no incubation, no help for these companies coming out. Okay. And we quickly realized that these kids came out with these brilliant ideas, and they just kind of died on the vine because there was no way to help them scale up. So the whole point of the whole model of train, invest in, and incubate and help scale is a model that MES started, and really is still unique, actually, in the continent.
All right, so MES trains, incubates for grooming and training purposes, and also helps to invest in these companies.
We train them first,
okay,
and then we give them money,
okay,
and then we help them spend it to scale up their business.
Great. What are some of the typical questions that will be asked?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when it comes down to it, what Jorn, the program that Jorn in the recruitment set up, is we try to talk about things like, well, first of all, we want to know that you are plugged in to what's going on, right? So like, what apps do you use on your phone? What are the up and coming trends that you see that you think are important to people and helping them in their everyday lives, things like that. Okay. But then we look at them personally, like, that we ask them, like, what is the best thing about you? What is the worst thing about you, okay, right? To see, how introspective they are. Right. Because one of the things about being an entrepreneur, and I'm sure you know this, it's a difficult path, and you're probably going to fail. Sure. And so you have to be very resilient. You have to have a lot of courage. And this is not a 12-month program. This is not a 1-year, 2-year program. This is a path to take, for 10 years plus or lifetime, okay, to be an entrepreneur. So we want to know about the person inside. Okay. One of the things we ask is, who's your best friend, okay? Kofi. If we ask Kofi to tell us about you, what would he say? Wow. We get some very interesting answers to that question.
That's great. So aside these grilling processes, when you select the few who meet the MEST mark.
Yeah.
What is the philosophy behind the training that is given to these young entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so first of all, in a practical way, we teach 3 disciplines.
Okay.
We teach business, communications, and technology.
Business, communications, and technology.
Right.
Okay.
We try to tell, so MEST is built around the premise of solving problems through technology.
Okay.
Because it's the most human resource friendly way to, a guy can sit down with a laptop and create Facebook, right? It's a human resource friendly way of creating a lot of wealth.
All right.
So that's the premise. But you have to build a business. Tech alone is not going to bring you jobs and wealth. You have to build a business.
Sure.
And so you need to know a business plan, how to monetize, what your market looks like, your target market, your accessible market, where you sit in the market,
Okay.
who's your competitors, how do you differentiate, and how to put those things together into a pitch and sell your passion to investors so that you can build this business and scale it up.
All right.
And so you have to know how to communicate that, right? Not only in a pitch, but in emails and interviews and know your audience. Are you talking to a CEO or are you talking to a developer?
Okay.
It's a very different conversation.
Sure. What is the relationship between communications and success in business?
Well, one of the things that we put under the communication curriculum is team building, for instance.
Okay.
Yeah, finding a team, 3 or 4 people that have complementary skills. That doesn't mean necessarily you all think the same. In fact, we discourage that. Friction causes, flame, heat,
Sure.
and a lot of good ideas come out of the friction of ideas, right? So you don't want everybody thinking alike. You want to build a company from people that are passionate about a common idea, but they don't come at it from the same perspective.
Okay.
And that's one of the great things about MEST right now, where we have 4 different African countries. I see that happening a lot more. When it was all Ghanaians, it's harder to find that friction.
Okay.
So you've now got 4 different countries. A South African looks at things a lot different than a Nigerian does.
Sure. If you are building a team for your startup, for instance, would you recommend that one selects people from different backgrounds or people with different perspectives? Because usually what happens is if I want to start a company, I look around my friends, those who think like I do, and you put them together and you start working.
Yeah.
Do you think if you get people with diverse cultural backgrounds, different viewpoints, will that rather help build a sustainable company?
First of all, putting a team together because they're your friends is not what you should do.
Okay.
That's not, we tell our teams all the time, don't build the team because you get along socially. That's not a way to build a team.
All right.
But what I am saying is a lot of times you rally around an idea, yeah? I either have an idea or we all come up with an idea. I either have an idea and I sell you on it, or we all come up with an idea, but you rally behind an idea. What is good though in a team is to have people that aren't necessarily going to agree on everything.
Okay.
Because a lot of the innovation comes from respectful dialogue that's maybe gets heated a bit,
Okay.
And you come up with something new.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, okay, that's great. You're still watching Business Lens TV, and today my guest is Todd Holcombe, who is a senior faculty at the Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology. And we are learning about the MEST model, how it works, and we will know how to incorporate it into our various institutions. We'll be right back after this short break. Thank you very much for staying tuned in. This is the Business Lens. And today our guest is Todd Holcombe, who is a senior faculty at the Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology. Today we're here to learn how the MEST system works. They've been very successful across Africa, but what is the MEST secret and how can we incorporate that into our various institutions, be it tertiary or other institutions that we have in order to promote entrepreneurship in Africa. So Todd, like we were saying, the MEST model evolves practically around being practical. You don't just teach the theory, but then you emphasize more on students creating out of what they have learned.
Yes.
How does the system work?
In a very simple way, where they're learning scripting languages HTML, for instance, CSS. They'll create a website for their online profile.
Okay.
You get into more back-end programming after that. So maybe your online profile now has some active server pages where you're pulling information and giving information. Then we go into Android, where you may take your online profile and create a mobile app. Make it so it fits into your screen and revolves around as it should on a mobile communication device. So different platforms. So and the whole time you're still syncing up the business deliverables and the communication around that.
Wow, that's really interesting. Yeah. And I now understand why almost everybody who comes out of MEST is able to create something.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we look at our various tertiary institutions, it'll be difficult to implement this, even though efficient method. But what can be done probably could be to set up clubs that are focused on entrepreneurship, to offer them the training and also help them create new businesses. The new government intends to start a number of hubs across the country where entrepreneurs will be trained and helped to take their ideas to the market. What would be your word of advice to the government?
Well, I mean, again, I think when you talk about innovation hubs, you're either taking in people, teams that have ideas, or you're taking in individuals and bringing them together to form ideas and help them. Okay. One of the things that we partner with different companies. Cosmos Energy is a company that we partner with. Okay. They're an energy company, but we created together the KIC, Cosmos Innovation Center. Okay. And they've, for the last 2 years, been centered on agri solutions, so agri-tech solutions. Okay. And then we give them a room in our inner incubator at MEST, and they use that to scale up their business. There's a lot of innovation hubs, but we do a training, so when they come in there, it's basically a farm system for the incubation, right? This model works very well. Okay. I mean, if you go to these competitions around Ghana, and I sit on a lot of panels and judge a lot of these hackathons and competitions, MEST, usually comes up in the first top 3, just because they're more mature when they come into into these competitions. Oh. Yeah, and I think it's a matter of learning the 3, as I mentioned, intertwined together. Okay.
Now, because of the model MEST practices or MEST employees, there are a lot of companies that have come out of MEST. What are some of these companies, and what are they into?
Okay, so back before my time, I think our first big success was SEA, which was really poised to be WhatsApp before WhatsApp was around. Okay. Unfortunately, their server infrastructure, they couldn't handle the traffic. Okay. But they were invited to Silicon Valley to 500 startups. They won an award there. It was a huge marketing thing for MEST, and I think that that was our first really big success, even though the company didn't sustain itself. Yeah, okay. We've had a few. Suba comes to mind. It's an event-driven photo sharing application that got some investment ideas. Under my tenure, we've had some great ideas come out. Asariba is one. Yeah. They're a CRM for churches. They've gotten a lot of press lately and a lot of awards. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, what a great idea, right? I remember when they pitched it halfway through their year, and everybody looked at each other and went, wow, I wish I'd thought of that.
Yeah. So the first day I heard it, that was my reaction. Exactly. Wow, why haven't I thought of this?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many paths to profit. Not only is it the users are there, obviously, their market is huge, but with communication and it's a great idea. Another one is Tress App, which is kind of an Instagram for hair. Sure. Priscilla is the CEO. It's a great team. And another one where you just scratch your head and go, wow, this, I mean, if they became the kind of model for fashion about payment platforms, we had somebody come out last year called Amplify. Okay. They're actually registered in Nigeria, but reoccurring payments, right? It's not a concept that's here in Ghana. Okay. In America, you set up your payment plan. Let's say like a Vodafone. Yeah, you set it up. It comes out of your checking account on a monthly basis, I never think about it anymore.
Yeah.
It just happens. And my internet never goes down, and it always gets paid, and that's just the way it works.
Yeah.
So that's what Amplify is doing, and they're doing very well in Nigeria. And then we've got some great ideas coming out this year too, so very excited.
A lot of things to look out for.
Absolutely.
But before MEST, these ideas were still in the country. These young guys, I'm sure there are a lot of them still out there. What are some of the challenges in developing a tech idea in Ghana?
Well, I mean, I think everybody has ideas, and people come up to me all the time at, when I'm out in OSU or, out in the social, in the ecosystem here, with an idea. Ideas, even my son is continually telling me ideas, and I say, ideas are easy.
Okay.
That's the easy part.
Yeah.
It's doing something about it, implementing it. Okay. Yeah. So you got to do the heavy lifting. And then after that, it's really getting investors to come out here and you have more mature ecosystems in, say, Nairobi and Lagos, obviously, Cape Town. Accra is developing, but investors still don't look at Ghana as a place with real ROI, return on investment. They think of it more in a donation, help out. They don't see the ROI, and I think
why is that the case?
Well, so this is a theory of mine, and I think it's a bit cultural. I think that there are some great successes here, SMSGH, for instance, but culturally you're told, keep your head down, keep working, don't talk about the money you're making, don't talk about your success.
Okay.
And that's not what we need. We need people celebrating their success so that people understand that there are success here and that you can come and invest in some real companies that make real money.
Wow. Well, that would explain probably why our brothers in Nigeria are actually having a real buzz about entrepreneurship, because if you look at the cultural differences, we seem to be the opposite of our brothers in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Ours is, well, be quiet, don't talk about it. Theirs, you have something small, blow it up.
Yeah, they start right away.
Start making noise about it.
Yeah.
So currently, how can MEST assist a young entrepreneur who's looking for funding?
Yeah, so currently the only way into our incubator is through the training program. Okay. Or if you go into the KIC program that I mentioned earlier is another door into that venue. We are at this point entertaining some ideas to put some different doors into our program.
Okay.
So that's still kind of in refinement. But I think we're opening it up a little bit. I think we're missing opportunities.
Yeah.
If we just limit it to the people that we train through our training program.
Sure. And when I'm not getting my hopes up, but is this something that could happen in the shortest possible time?
Well,
because there are a lot of young entrepreneurs who may not get into the MEST system, but have great ideas and are looking for investors. Yeah,
I understand. So my best advice would be to go on to the meltwater.org website. Okay. Look at the different channels that we have. We do a lot of different programs, MEST Talks, where we open it up to the public. I brought in just recently a U.S. consulate to talk about the best practice in visas to go to the United States, because that's one of the things that these young entrepreneurs face. That maybe they get invited to Silicon Valley, they can't get a visa to go.
Yeah.
So these are the kinds of things we invite experts. We talk about fintech, we talk about agri-tech. Sector Speak is another one where we bring in leaders from the different sectors. So there's a lot of different programs that we have. Okay. And competitions, hackathons, where we partner up with Vodafone or Samsung, and we have competitions. Those are open to the public.
You're still watching Business Lens TV, and today my guest is Todd Holcombe, who is a senior faculty at the Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology. We'll be right back after this short break. Thank you very much for staying tuned in. This is the Business Lens. And today our guest is Todd Holcombe, who is a senior faculty at the Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology. Getting back to the discussion about entrepreneurship and how to get a lot more people being entrepreneurial. Yeah. First, what would be your advice if it comes to developing an idea? Not necessarily limiting yourself to your close surroundings. Because of technology now, companies are boundaryless. What you develop here could be used in Nairobi, in Cape Town, or even in the States. What would be your advice to an entrepreneur currently developing an idea?
Right. So, and what I tell my students is go out and find something that's a real problem.
Okay.
I mean, that's where the idea starts. Find a problem. And there are a lot of challenges. I was just at the registrar's office.
Yeah.
You sit there for a half an hour, I could give you 30 ideas coming out of there to improve it. So, so go find a problem, right?
Okay.
And then you're making an assumption, so validate with the right people that it is a problem in their lives.
Okay.
Come up with a solution, validate that solution, and then start to work on that problem and the solution that you've chosen, right?
Okay.
And keep it focused. Don't try to boil the ocean.
Okay.
You know, get something that's very succinct and clear, that's very specific. Work on that problem. Get it out soon. Get it out in front of your audience, the typical client, your paying customer. Get it out to them and see how they use it. Very important to see quickly how the customer uses your product, and then start to develop. I mean, maybe they start to use it in a very different way than you anticipated.
Okay.
So you pivot a bit and you make it, you develop the product to how they use it.
All right. Mm-hmm. All right. So it's not necessarily about waiting till you have a perfect product.
No. Don't do that.
Okay.
Get out there and let them use it. I'll give you an example. Avon created a hand cream.
Okay.
And they put it out on the market. After a year or so, they realized that they saw the sales go like this, and then suddenly went up like this. They didn't know why, because it was a great mosquito repellent. People were buying it as a mosquito repellent, so they repackaged it, and it's one of their best-selling products. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you always learn from your customers.
Exactly.
Look at how the sales trends are going and pivot to make your idea work.
And that's a very good point. Put the mechanisms in place to collect the data.
Okay.
Your KPIs, your key progress indicators, your performance indicators. You need to set those mechanisms in place to know how your product is developing and know how your users are using that product.
Okay.
Very, very important.
Great. In Ghana, you've been here for 2.5 years. What will be your assessment of entrepreneurs in Ghana?
Well, the first thing that struck me after being here for a short time was you can't throw a rock in Ghana without hitting an entrepreneur. Everybody's an entrepreneur.
Oh.
I mean, you know, you put a place out in front, a container out in front of your house, and you have a provision shop, or, I mean, they have an entrepreneurial spirit.
Okay.
I think it's inbred in them, and it's everybody's got the side hustles going on, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's doing 2 or 3 or 4 things. Everybody I talk to, you know. I remember after being here for just a short time, I went to Kokrobite and we were taking surf lessons. And there was this little boy, he grabbed like a fence plank, and he was watching the surf lessons, by himself and trying to replicate what we were doing. That was day 1. Day 2, there were 3 or 4 other kids, and he was teaching them with the. So I mean, I think it's inbred in just how they think. So I think. It's a very fertile environment for entrepreneurs, for sure.
Well, what you just said just gave me some goosebumps. But then I think there are a couple of challenges, really, because almost everybody is entrepreneurial, but our businesses are not growing to be really sustainable and expand to other countries. Yeah. Usually, even the ones that are built and are a bit sustainable, they die with their founders. We're unable to build trans-generational companies.
Yes.
How do we tackle such issues?
Yeah, I know, and I think that's something that we struggle with as well. But I mean, that's why we try to stress globally competitive companies. Okay. Like when we bring them in and part of our recruitment, we tell them, once you cross through the gate into MEST, you're in international territory now. Sure. You're not in Ghana anymore. Ghana time doesn't apply here. Yeah. Okay. You have to be on time. You have to be professional. It's a business environment. So that's one thing. They have to. They also have to be not satisfied. Okay. A lot of times, the companies, they get to a certain threshold and they're comfortable. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe they have a house, they have a car. Yeah. it's okay. I'm okay now. But you have to, in business, like in swimming, you either move or you sink. Sure. So you have to keep progressing and thinking in those terms. You have to build, be innovative, either figure out how to deepen the relationship with your customers or get more customers, more products, whatever. But you need to be building.
If you look into the future, entrepreneurship in Ghana, the tech space as well, what will be your projection?
When I first got here, even just 2.5 years ago, when I would interview these students coming out of a 4-year, I'd ask them, do you have the support of your family? About 50% would say yes, 50% would say not really, because I've gone through 4 years, now they want me to go work for a bank or be an accountant or follow that track. Yeah. Now, it's not so much. They understand that in order to really solve the unemployment problem here in Ghana, to really bring wealth and jobs back here, there has to be the SMEs, and that's going to start with entrepreneurs. So this is a very important facet to the government's direction. It's right in line with it.
Okay. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you very much. We hope to have you again.
Yeah.
Well, so this is a Business Lens, the SME-focused television show where we throw light on the various challenges that SMEs and startups are facing, and we try to find solutions to these challenges for the purpose of growing more businesses in our country. My name is Tarsicius Edem Doponyo, and this has been a wonderful edition with Todd Holcombe, who is a senior faculty at the Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology. For more information, visit our website, businesslenstv.com, and you can also follow us on the various social media platforms at Business Lens TV. My name is Tarsicius Doponyo Edem. You can follow me as well at Dop Edem on the various social media platforms. Thank you, and God willing, next time we will meet again.